everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to So What, the Marketing Analytics and Insights Live show. I'm Katie, joined by Chris and John.
We didn't even rehearse that.
We're just that good. This week, we are talking about YouTube handles and what marketers should know. What the heck they are, what you need to know, and what the heck you do with them. So, John, this was actually something that you wanted to talk about. So, what kinds of questions, before we get into what they are, what kinds of questions do you have as a marketer about YouTube handles?
Yeah, well, the first question is, what are they? Do you need to be worried about it? And then how does it going to impact not only YouTube, but other social channels? So those were the first, things that came out of the gate as far as, how do you handle this and what can I change? And it's really interesting when you consider most people may or may not call YouTube a social channel. I mean, there's so much activity over there, but they don't really think about it the same as Facebook or Twitter. And,
Right.
should that be the way they approach this?
Well, I think that we have someone with us today who can answer all of those questions and more. Chris, where would you like to start today?
Let's start with what is going on. So YouTube announced handles. These are @ signs. So these are @ handles. So if you're familiar with, @ mentioning someone on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok, you know what a YouTube handle is, right? It's exactly that. It's being able to @ mention somebody. Really straightforward, really easy. The purpose is for content creators to be able to tag each other a lot more easily, to have something more memorable for people who are interacting. Like John said, YouTube, in addition to being the world's second largest search engine, is also one of the world's largest social networks. And the quality of discourse in the comments on YouTube may not always be the the highbrow publication that you're looking for, but it is a social network. And so handles are beginning to roll out now. They appear to be going out essentially in order of channel importance, right? As the biggest channels have already gotten theirs, and then they're rolling out slowly. Appears to be based on the number of subscribers you have. When the first place to start is to go to youtube.com/handle, right? If you have a YouTube channel, and it will say, hey, either you have or you have not gotten yours. They're basing it off of your custom URL, right? So if you have a custom URL already set up in your YouTube channel, they're almost certainly going to just reuse that for your channel handle. So if we go to my YouTube channel, we can see here it just picked @CSPen. And this is what that exact same page looks like when you've got a handle. It says your existing stuff will continue to work, so you don't have to redirect anything. But now, if somebody mentions you on YouTube and you've got a handle assigned, you get a notification. And so, from what we can tell, this is two things. One, it's to increase engagement and make collaboration easier in general on YouTube. And two, because it applies to all YouTube formats, especially shorts, they are essentially trying to replicate some of the functionality of TikTok.
With more accessible data, I would imagine.
With more accessible data, with a big user base already. YouTube has billions of users. And they are really pushing the short video format. We covered YouTube Shorts a couple of months ago now on this live stream, but that's essentially what's going on. It's pretty straightforward what these handles are. Here's the thing to pay attention to. Pay attention to your inbox, and when you get that notification, go and make sure that your handle is all set. Again, if you've got a custom URL already set up in your channel, which you'll see here, the YouTube custom URL, then when you get notified about the handle, it's relatively easy to set it. There have been reports of bigger name creators who just kind of slept on the notification, and then somebody else with a much smaller channel nabbed the handle that they would have gotten otherwise. So if you get the notification, don't sleep on it.
So it also sounds like if you don't have your custom URL set up, now's a good time to do it, because that's where YouTube is going to look first.
Exactly right. So you want to go if we go into YouTube here, let's go to customize channel. And we're going to go into customization, go to branding. Actually, I'm sorry, go to basic info and your custom URL. This is where you want to set it. So ours is already set, so we don't have to worry about that. And then obviously, as you saw, once the handle becomes available, it'll just appear right here.
Excellent. All right. So we've talked about what it is. So it sounds like it's very similar to having a username, essentially, like you do on other social media channels that people can tag. So what do marketers do with this information? So on Twitter, I see like these big streams of like follow Friday where you tag like 20 people up until the point you've run out of room. Is that something that people should be thinking of? I mean, I think it's a terrible idea, but I'm an N of one. Is that the kind of way that people would start using it in like every day? Like, where do you put the tag? In the comments, in the description, in the title? Like, how does this is not my area of expertise, so help me understand what the heck I do with this now.
Right. So what you would be doing with this is you can use the handles in a couple places. You can use them in the title or the description of a new video. So I could put in, for example, video with at CS Pen, which is my handle, and I think I need to be connected with the account to be able to tag properly. You can see it didn't quite get it there, and then I can use the handle within the description as well. I believe, I haven't checked this yet, but I believe you can use it within the comments on a channel as well. But what happens is then that this gets, this would notify my personal YouTube channel, like, hey, Trust Insights tagged you into this thing. So I get a notification, just like you do on Instagram. If someone handles you in a thing, you get a notification.
Okay, I have a question about one of the things that you said. So as you were saying video with at CS Pen, and you said, I need to be connected with this channel, so that to me says that you can't just tag anybody who has a handle. No? Like, what does that mean? That you have to be connected with it?
Well, the reason, like, when I just tried to use my handle there, it didn't seem to be able to find and recognize my channel. So I'm not sure if the Trust Insights handle is following my personal channel. So because it pulled up a bunch of other accounts that I didn't recognize.
So I can say I believe it is,
okay.
But that aside, that's interesting. So you can only tag people you follow.
I'm not sure because like I said, we just tried it and it did not work as intended.
So that's interesting because that I can see, is going to inflate, follower numbers, for example. If you're looking to tag a whole bunch of people, but you don't follow them, you suddenly have to follow them in order to tag them, but then do you unfollow them as soon as they're tagged? It probably depends on the context of what you're doing.
Right. It also could be my browser too, because I've got like a gazillion ad blockers, which always screw up how sites function. So it's entirely possible it's me.
Okay. I'm going to go with that. It's entirely possible it's you.
Well, I could totally see that we're going to hit that thing of as soon as it's live for most people, there's going to be these folks posting videos and tagging 500 people in the comments. And then suddenly there'll be some spam switches and, not be able to tag me if I don't follow you and some of those off and on things. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that stuff blows up at lunchtime.
Yeah. It's interesting that because YouTube has to be a video, like that's its format. That's the thing, whether it's a long form video, a short video. I'm really curious about, so on Twitter, for example, someone can just ask a question and then tag a bunch of people to see if they can get an answer. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that translates, or maybe it doesn't, into a platform like this.
It depends. So if your channel is big enough, you can also create just posts, which essentially are like tweets, right? You have to have over 1,000 subscribers to be able to do posts. And then you can create images, image polls, text polls, obviously add in videos and things like that. And that goes to your subscribers. So the bigger channels tend to do posts announcing stuff like, hey, our new collaboration with Casey Neistat's coming out in 3 days. Make sure that you've hit the notification bells so that you get a notice when it comes out, that kind of thing. So it's not just videos.
Okay, that's given that our channel is still growing, that's probably why I wasn't aware of some of these features. And if you haven't subscribed to Trust Insights YouTube channel, you can do so at trustinsights.ai/YouTube, which will also bring you straight to our channel, and you can follow us there. Never miss an episode.
Hit
Isn't that
like,
what people
mash,
say?
subscribe. There we go.
Uh-huh. So do handles if you scroll up to analytics, do they show up there now as a metric?
Nope, not yet.
Oh
Not
my
yet. No,
goodness.
and it's not clear if they ever will or not, because
Okay.
when we look at the data, if you use the social listing tool of your choice for YouTube, the handles appear to just be regular text strings that YouTube auto recognizes, but it's not substantially different. Like it's not something new. I don't know if it's going to show up in the analytics or not. We will find out.
Okay. So I guess I'm still struggling to understand, what marketers can do with having the ability, aside from claiming your own handle, which is always a good idea for your, corporate and personal brand. I'm still just struggling to understand the use cases of being able to tag a bunch of other handles.
It's to notify them, and it's not been stated publicly anywhere, but it would not surprise me if the way the underlying recommendation engine works, if you do publish a video, that it might have a slightly higher percentage chance of showing up in to the audience of the people that you've tagged. So if we put a video out on the Trust Insights channel and we use the @handle for my channel so we can get it working, then people who subscribe to me might have a greater chance of seeing that video in their recommended feeds.
I see. So, so similar to what we do with our network graphs. And for those who aren't aware, we do, for big events on Twitter, we have network graphs that pull all of the handles that are of people who are being talked about during those shows. So that way you can sort of see like what the conversations are about, those kinds of things. Okay. So I can sort of see it in that context of why that might be helpful, because it's in some ways just trying to get a longer reach into a wider audience by including somebody who is related in context.
Exactly. So, for example, if I wanted to, I could take this video from Marketing Profs. Once they've got their handles set up, if I posted this video that I shot of Anne and Marketing Profs and I use their @handles, it's likely to let them know that this thing exists. Which again, there is no notification mechanism right now. So if somebody posts a video of Taylor Swift on there and you don't tag that person in, their account is not notified that you've put this thing up. But if you use this handle, now it lets that other creator know, hey, this video potentially of you exists.
Now, can they take any action with it? Can they repost it, reshare it like you can with other social platforms?
It depends on what your account is capable of. Like, so for this, I know you can just sign my Google account. I could add in a YouTube video from somebody else into a post on my channel.
Oh,
so
okay.
if Anne put up a video of me, I could put it into a post on my channel.
Got it. But it's not the same sort of like one-click experience that you have on other channels where it's just like you click the retweet button or you click the share button and it automatically reshares.
No, it's not that way for the smaller channels. No, there is definitely a pecking order on YouTube in terms of what you're allowed to do based on your channel size.
All right, John, you and I better get comfortable at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too that these are totally unique. I mean, it just seems like there will be a lot of battles amongst subscribers that have similar channels, because this, if you don't get your name, you're totally out of luck. The other one too is you'd mentioned brand. Like, it's so important for that. If you've got your @handle the same across all channels, then if you're using a posting tool, you don't have to worry about cross stuff, because I've seen that where it's like, if you've got an Instagram and Facebook but you don't have it on Twitter, now you're having to change every post to meet the the standard so that the thing is actually live and clicks and works. So yeah, getting it is critical, but it does seem like they're rolling out at their own pace. Like you're just going to get your shot when you get it. And if there's a bigger fish upstream, you're out of luck.
Exactly. And I'm sure that behind the scenes, I'm sure there are some protections for those folks who are, recognized brands with established copyrights. Like, you can say, okay, that's our trademark. You can't use it. So you could not grab, at Apple, I'm sure, or Disney. Disney would be the worst because their lawyers, they'll just show up at your house and just punch you in the face. But, for smaller brands, it is consideration. Make sure that how to do copyright claims and stuff on YouTube. Make sure you're familiar with those processes.
So what else can marketers do with this information? Are there other utilities? Are there other use cases, or is this just something more of a wait and see?
Some of it is wait and see. Some of it we already know what to do with this stuff, because what's really nice about ad handles is that it's a defined format. It's a known format that we're all used to dealing with, right? On Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. We know how to deal with these ad mentions. And that also means that we can use existing marketing technologies to process them. So, for example, if you use social listening tools, there's so many of them. I'm unfortunately over quota on my Talkwalker account for this month, so I have to use Brand 24. I set up a video tracker for videos about Taylor Swift, and this is a tiny fraction because of YouTube's data API. This is probably about 1% of the total volume. It was actually funny. I had to file a tech support request with Google earlier today. I said I need to increase my queries per day limit, because you get 10,000. And I burned through that very, very quickly when I was trying to set up a Taylor Swift listening tool this morning. And I said I need at least 180,000 queries a day. We'll see if Google comes back and says this is a silly use case. However, in social listening tools of your choice, you can set it up to monitor for a topic and then export that data, right? You can export the data and start processing it. So real simple. You can see in this spreadsheet here, let's make this just a little bit bigger. In the descriptions, you're starting to see the use of some of these handles, right? There's the Taylor Swift handle, which means that if you're familiar with things like network graphs, you can start to build network graphs of who is influential about a topic, because we're looking for which handles are mentioned more frequently than others. And we're starting to see that data become available. It's still not, I'd say we probably need another month to wait, because that's how long Google said it's going to take to roll these things out. But then you're going to start to be able to build influence graphs effectively for YouTube. Up until now, it's been a real struggle for any of these influencer identification tools to look at more than who's got the largest number of subscribers on YouTube. Now, with the handles, we can start to say, okay, well, which channels are being recommended by other creators the most?
And for those wondering, this was the network graph that I was mentioning that we create on Twitter for the events. And so this is obviously using YouTube data, but when we create those other network graphs, we're using Twitter data to see who's being the most talked about.
Exactly. And to John's point, if brands are doing a good job of essentially capturing their handle and stuff like that, and making it synchronous across different networks, then if you create a network graph for, say, Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, and you post it on YouTube as a motion picture, as a video, as opposed to just a static image, you could probably use that same handle list and say, okay, here's the 10 or 15 or 20 most influential people, and people could see the actual animation, rather than just a static image. So it could actually be a lot of fun for the more advanced influence identification tools to show motion of influence over time.
That'll be interesting to see too, if they have import function, if you'd be able to dump your Twitter list and just upload it into YouTube. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but certainly you could do a very simple check and say, okay, here's the Twitter handle, because the format is exactly the same. So if we go back here to a browser window, if I go to youtube.com/@TaylorSwift, right, I can see that there's a working profile there. And so I could very quickly check to see, oh, that got loud. Is that handle that has a Twitter handle, does it at least have a working YouTube channel on the other end of it?
That's interesting. So what else should marketers be thinking about in terms of the potential of this data?
More than anything, I think there's, let's rewind. One of the things that would be handy to know, particularly if you have a named competitor that you are competing with in the market space on YouTube, you could look at who your competitors are collaborating with, right? What kinds of influencer collaborations? Again, with these handles being available, there's obviously likely to be an advantage for tagging in people in collaborations. Now you could get a better understanding of which influencers and creators your competitors are working with, and that might be a short list of folks. If you are in, say, the IT space, you're probably collaborating with Network Chuck, or you will be at some point, because he's just one of those creators that has a huge tech audience of folks that are all into IT and gear. So that's one aspect, and the second aspect really is, from a big picture perspective, this is all about encouraging more social connection and more collaboration. So as we create content, one of the things we want to be doing is we want to be collaborating with others, and this tool makes it easier to mention and loop in other people's audiences. When we post, for example, our podcasts and stuff now on YouTube and this live stream, we'll probably want to start tagging in my YouTube handle, because again, I've got an audience on my personal handle. We want to bring that audience into the Trust Insights audience,
and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So I know you might not know the answer to this, but how long do you feel smaller creators have to wait in order to get their YouTube handle?
We know that it will YouTube will automatically start processing everything November 14th. Right? That's when they say, if you haven't already been notified, we're just going to assign one to you. So it's going to be on or before November 14th. So, obviously we should be checking our inbox fairly frequently to make sure it has not magically appeared.
Gotcha. And so if you get one that you're not happy with, you can try to change it if it's available.
Exactly, if it's available, and then you can't change it again for 14 days. So like if it came up with some random string, we could say, okay, Trust Insights, and then we'd be locked into that. We couldn't change again for 14 days. Again, to prevent people from essentially handle squatting.
Gotcha. Well, John, you better start reserving like super fun, cool guy. Make sure that that's available for you.
This is my shot here. If I can get John Wall back from the NBA player, he's mostly retired now. So I'm finally.
You
returned to
might,
glory.
yeah. I think this is the time to do it.
Yeah, and it's on a channel basis. So the Marketing Over Coffee channel is obviously one we want to get at Marketing Over Coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we haven't got the invite yet on that, so unfortunately, that's not top tier.
The other thing that I think is probably worth smaller channels considering is, if you don't have the viewership to get to at least to 1,000 to get to some of the more advanced features, it might be worth dropping a couple $100 to run YouTube ads promoting your channel, just to try and get that subscriber count up above the minimum for some of the more advanced features.
That makes sense. Yeah, especially if you're really angling to keep a very specific handle for your brand consistency, that makes sense. Spend a little bit of money now and play the long game of making sure that you can keep your brand intact.
And be able to do stuff like posts, the image posts and run polls to your subscribers, things like that. Obviously, you want a loyal audience, but at least to unlock some of the basic features, yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea to spend a few bucks.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, John? What other questions do you have about it?
The one thing that's running around in my head is, so now would you be able to start kiting these names? Like if you took all the largest Twitter accounts and saw which ones don't have YouTube accounts, is that giving you, is there something to be mined there? But that seems like a spammy thing to get involved with.
It's a spammy thing to get involved in, and YouTube specifically called out in their handles announcements, you may not sell or transfer handles. It is against the terms of service. They'll boot you off the platform.
Interesting.
Now that won't stop, some nefarious actors from doing that, but the chances of them being able to successfully extort someone else are pretty low. YouTube is really, really good about copyright claims, and they are very, they and their robots are very vigorous about enforcing copyright. So the chances of being extorted successfully are relatively low.
Interesting. Well, I feel like it's a nice new shiny object. At the very least, the takeaway is, try to boost your follower number, subscriber number, so that you can secure the handle that best aligns with your brand. And otherwise, it sounds like maybe start, experimenting with, tagging your friendlies in things to see if that boosts your numbers at all. And then just kind of set up your monitoring tools, see what comes out of it, and just kind of wait and see. I mean, I feel like people don't do a lot with handles right now in general, other than massively tag a whole bunch of them to try to get seen elsewhere, which has never been a great strategy. So I'm just curious to see what marketers feel like they can now do with this additional piece of data.
I mean, I think like you said, setting up some social listening on your key topics, on your big topics is easy, and it's a smart move, because as handles become more available, you want that data. You want that data to be able to analyze it. For example, we've had a monitor in Brand 24 here running for Google Analytics for over 2 years now, and we've collected hundreds of thousands of data points. And then as time goes on, right, if I go into our mentions here, I can look at just video. Just in the last 30 days, there's 814 videos about this thing. I can start to export that and see if there are emerging influencers with those handles in use right within these topics. So it never hurts to have some social listing set up for your key topics, the things that you want to know more about, and then look at the landscape.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, John? You're going to set up your own YouTube channel just to get your handle?
You just need to make more videos. That's the key. It's great to have your handle, but if you don't have stuff you want to promote, that's cart before the horse. So get out and start shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Start shooting, start doing live streams, platforms like StreamYard and stuff, make it super easy. If you are already on a platform like TikTok, just download your TikTok things, real videos, and upload them to YouTube as shorts. It's so simple. If you can do that, and then do the exact same thing with Instagram Reels. There is speculation, because no one has confirmed it, that videos you upload from other platforms are recommended less frequently than videos you make natively on those platforms. But if you've already made the video once, just upload it to those other places. You're not going to cause any harm that way.
Right. No, that makes sense. It's, that aligns with our transmedia framework that we talk about in terms of, scalability and using your resources in an efficient way. Create the thing once and then post it across multiple platforms. And then, John, to your point, if there's consistency with the handles, then you don't have to keep trying to figure out what handle is it that I'm trying to tag in this. You can create the thing once and then just sort of schedule it.
Exactly. And a lot of the tools allow you to do this stuff. Adobe Premiere, I was doing this the other day. You can create a sequence in Adobe Premiere that is exactly sized for YouTube Shorts and stuff. So if you want to make custom content for short form video, and you don't want to just take existing video and crop it, the tools let you do this really easily. And when it comes to the use of handles and on YouTube, it's pretty clear they intend it to be used heavily within shorts, right? They intend for you to be doing a lot of tagging. So take advantage of the video tools that are out there. Start making a list of the people that you want to mention, that you want, maybe you want to have some affinity for. Start mentioning them in your videos. and things like that, and just crank out these minute-long videos. It's not rocket surgery.
All right. Well, I don't have any other questions. I'm just taking it all in. This is, I felt like when you said YouTube panels, I'm like, I don't know what that is. And now it's like, oh, I know what that is, but I haven't quite figured out like what you do with it. So I still need some time to think it through, like where it fits in to everything that we do.
Yep. Again, start with collaboration. Start with tagging people in when we do any content with anybody else. For example, when we post this episode of So What, we should probably see if Brand24 has an @ handle on YouTube. And if they do, I want to mention them in the description, say, hey, we featured you in this video. We talk about, the Marketing AI Institute frequently. We talk about Talkwalker frequently. And as folks get their handles, super easy way to just let them know, hey, you're in this video.
That makes sense. John, final thoughts?
Yeah, dude, start tagging everybody.
Start tagging everybody. Yeah. Think about this, John. Every time you have a guest on Marketing Over Coffee, go through and just make sure they're tagged in. Go back. Once you get your handles for Marketing Over Coffee, go back into the historical archives, right? Of the old videos and stuff. Katie and I, we can do that for the Trust Insights podcast. If we know that there are brands we mentioned, Agora Pulse and stuff, as soon as they get their handle, we want to go back on even our old catalog and tag them in. So that's the next step. That's the easy next step is leverage the existing library you have, and start tagging away. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, folks, let's head on out, and we'll catch you next week. Thanks for watching today. Be sure to subscribe to our show wherever you're watching it. For more resources and to learn more, check out the Trust Insights podcast at trustinsights.ai/TI podcast and our weekly email newsletter at trustinsights.ai/newsletter. Got questions about what you saw in today's episode? Join our free Analytics for Marketers Slack group at trustinsights.ai/analytics for marketers. See you next time.